Good day, this is Emar Pursuit, and welcome to another edition of Fighting Peaches. This is our exclusive interview with Georgia State men's soccer head coach Brett Surrency. Enjoy. Hey, Sports Inquirer here with Brett Surrency from Georgia State men's soccer. Let's discuss the South Carolina win. You're able to go on the road and beat a pretty solid Gamecocks team and with a 3-1 victory. Before we break it down goal by goal, just discuss the overall impression of your team and your thoughts on getting the victory.
Yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we've still got a long ways to go in terms of where we want to be overall. This group's got a lot of talent to it. We're still working through some things structurally and discipline-wise just to try and figure out exactly how we want to go about things playing, both on the attacking and the defensive side of things. So, I fully expect the more we play, those disciplines will become even tighter, and hopefully the results can stay the same. And it's always a good feeling to feel like you have more to give, and while doing that, still win games. So hopefully it's something we can, moving forward, do both, win games and still progress.
You mentioned the discipline. Is that not fouling as much, maybe having a better offside trap, staying in your system more? When you say improve your discipline, what does that entail?
Yeah, just discipline in terms of how we want to go about things. We still have some new players and some guys playing together for, the first couple times. So more so just discipline in terms of how we want to move and, how we want to go forward and attack. And, conversely on the defensive side of things is, being organized and understanding our individual roles and how those roles, fit within the grander scheme of the team philosophy as well too. So, more along that, and that's just going to come the more that we play. Because unfortunately we've had some injuries, some longer term injuries that guys came in with, and then some little injuries here and there. So we haven't been able to play full sided in training as much. So a lot of our experiences are coming in the games. So because we're not getting too many opportunities to play full sided in training sessions.
Against South Carolina, you got 2 first-half goals from Matthew Fernley and Jaron Hodge, and both those goals came about a minute apart. How big was that for you to get that 2-0 lead heading into halftime with that contest?
Yeah, it was great. Matty had a wonderful strike. He hit a couple previous to that where he just one was a little bit high and one the keeper made a good save on. So, for him to get one teed off at the 18, on top of the 18, Matt has the ability to put those away. So that was big. And then, Jaron had just stepped onto the field. It was almost his first action, where he was able to get on the ball and made the right decision and drove quick, at a defender and set himself up for a great opportunity, and he scored. So, yeah, I think that was big going into halftime. To be up 2 and to get them in quick succession was important as well too.
And that was Jaron's first career goal. Another guy got his first career goal, and Simon Carlson. South Carolina cut the lead 2-1 in the second half, but Carlson's goal made it 3-1 and ultimately served as the difference in the contest. Discuss that goal and how your team responded after having their lead cut in half.
Yeah, we I think that's part of our maturation process. The second half we probably weren't as calm and collected as we should have been. But I think to be in that position 2-0 and learning how to manage games is something that you can only really do with experience. So to go through that was important because I think when you take a step out of that, we realized some things we could have done a little bit differently that maybe make that game a little bit more comfortable. As opposed to having to score the third one really late and kind of distance the game at that point. But we earned a foul on top of the box. Matty struck a great ball, and Simon did what good poachers do, and he followed up the shot and was able to put one away. So I was really pleased with Simon and Jaron as well too. Obviously 2 freshmen in their second games getting goals. They've had really good starts to the season in terms of preseason up to this point. So it was nice to see them rewarded with a goal.
So your media relations staff about someone to speak with as far as player goes, and they mentioned George Proctor, your senior defender. What makes him such a big part of the team and a big contributor for the squad, especially on that defensive end, as you talked about that discipline of getting the team going that way?
Yeah, kind of an unsung group so far, to be honest with you. Our back line's done really well. Some returners in Ramon Munoz and George Proctor, and Alex Anderson as a freshman has stepped in and played really well. yeah, just a guy that, always wears his emotions on his sleeve and has probably more, or maybe the top amount of, just passion that he puts into the game. You can always see it and how he goes about his business and what he puts into it. So, yeah, for him to be recognized, I think is important because, he may not necessarily always have the most notoriety when it comes to the games. Usually that's geared towards more the attacking players and guys that are scoring goals and setting up goals. But, he's been a really big part of our start, not only in the games, but in training as well too. And, helping some of the guys around understand just the way that we want to go about things. And he's a great example of that because, as I mentioned, he always puts everything that he has into the games. And, that's a trait that's important in our program.
He is British and is one of many international players on your team. How does that recruiting process work for the squad? We're used to the United States approach. We have high schools and club teams or AAU teams, whatever you want to say, and that's how we know the recruiting process goes there. What about players from not the United States, and how do you get them to come to Georgia State? When do you start that process with a player such as George?
Yeah, similar. That they're either going through club systems or some playing, clubs in with their schools as well too. Yeah, similar process that is in the States. There may be more kind of a recruiting events that are set up abroad that coaches are able to come into, and players that are interested in coming to the U.S. to study and continue to play soccer. Is a good place for them to be seen. But yeah, it's a similar process, that it is here in the U.S. And we like to try and be able to see people play, whether that's through training or in games or through some recruiting showcases or whatever it may be. So it's about finding the right fit. Us being in Atlanta, we do draw a good bit of international interest, so it's something that we pay attention to. But it's like anything else, making sure that it's the right type of character kid. Obviously, the soccer is an important part of it, and a kid that's going to come in here and do really well academically. It's a big part of what we want our program to be about. So whether that kid's from England or New Zealand or Georgia, if it fits the mold and what we're after and the expectation within the program, then that type of player doesn't really matter where he comes from.
Pre-pandemic, there's none of the rules and travel, everything's so different now. How often would you travel outside the United States for a recruit, and where's the furthest you've gone from Atlanta to recruit somebody to come to state, even if it was a non-committal? But how far have you gone to get someone to become a Panther?
Yeah, usually a couple times a year between our staff. I really don't know what that's going to look like moving forward, to be honest with you. Even domestically, there's the MTA has put some limitations on recruiting through through the end of the calendar year. So recruiting will be interesting over the next year, just because of some of the changes by the NCAA, and then obviously in dealing with the pandemic. But typically in a normal year, someone on our staff would go a couple times a year. It just depends. We want to make sure that what we're going for is something that is, makes a lot of sense, because obviously there's financial considerations. So the more we can see, the more players we can see, it is able to justify it a little bit more. The majority of our recruiting abroad is done in Europe. We have had some kids, from Japan, but he came through junior college here as well. So that, in terms of on our team, probably the furthest. We've had one from New Zealand. Honestly don't know geography wise what's further, New Zealand or Japan. I just know they're both of them are very far away.
Now, did you travel out there with your staff, or did they do like a summit or a showcase in Europe, or how did that work?
No, those were the JUCO one we were able to see in the state.
Sure.
And then we actually didn't see our New Zealand player in person.
Wow.
That was through some contacts, and that it's like anything else. You as you go along, and the more you do it, you develop a rapport with a variety of different people. Whether that's domestically or abroad, that if you've worked with before and they understand the type of player that you're looking for, they're more keen to relay a player onto you, and as it may be a good fit, and then just kind of follow up from there. So not necessarily an exact science with recruiting, but you do as best you can.
And now we transition on to UAB, your home opener. You finally get to play in in Atlanta and on your home field. What's the anticipation level for that, and what's the team working on this week in practice as you prepare for that UAB contest?
Yeah, no, I mean, UAB obviously on Wednesday, and then, quick turnaround with the conference opener on Sunday against Southern, and then another one against Mercer on Tuesday. So the next 6-7 days are going to be really intense for us. Yeah, just kind of talking through or working on some of the things that we talked about earlier is, trying to shore up some things defensively, addressing some areas where we thought we should be better against South Carolina, and trying to paint some of those pictures in training, and hopefully the more times we go through the scenarios and the situations, the guys are able to grasp it a little bit better, and just trying to compete internally within our group. We have a talented group, and we've got some guys that maybe haven't started the first couple games but have come on and done really well. So it's continue to stoke that level of internal competition, and hopefully that collectively for us breeds a more hungry, driven team, and hopefully that translates on the field in terms of results.
And that was Georgia State men's soccer head coach Brett Surrency discussing the team's win on the road over the University of South Carolina, as well as his recruiting process. I was very interested in learning about how the team approaches their international recruits as opposed to the domestic ones that we're familiar with. So we appreciate his time, and until next time, be safe.